What happens when the god of death isn't the villain, but a misunderstood ruler? Journey with us into the shadows of the underworld, a place feared by mortals and gods alike. Here, where no mortal dares to tread, Hades reigns. But he's not a monster, not a tyrant. He is the god who holds the balance between life and death in his hands. The silence of his realm speaks of power, of control, but also of loneliness. This is the story of Hades, the silent king of the underworld, and how he shapes the fate of gods and mortals alike. After defeating the mighty Titans, the three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, stood as the rulers of the cosmos. Zeus with his lightning bolts claimed the heavens. Poseidon with his trident commanded the seas, and Hades was given the underworld. It wasn't a choice. The underworld chose him. And so, while Zeus reveled in the glory of his reign, and Poseidon stirred the waves, Hades governed in the darkness. His kingdom was not filled with the living, but the dead, souls that wandered in silence, forever separated from the world above. He didn't bring death, he simply maintained its order. But in his shadowed realm, Hades was alone, watching over a kingdom no one wanted to see. One day, Hades saw her, Persephone, the radiant daughter of Demeter. She was more than just a goddess of spring. She was life itself, beauty and warmth, everything his world lacked. Overcome by his solitude, Hades reached for her, not out of malice, but out of a longing for something his kingdom had never known: light. But what drives a god to take a bride from the world above? In the quiet of a sunlit meadow, as Persephone picked flowers, the earth beneath her feet split open. Hades rose from the depths, pulling her into the underworld, making her his queen. Her abduction left the world above in chaos. Her mother Demeter, in a grief so deep that the earth turned to ice. Mortals suffered, crops died, and the gods demanded her return. But by then, a bond had been formed. Persephone had tasted the fruit of the underworld, forever binding her to Hades' shadowed realm. Now, each year, she would split her time, half spent in the warmth of her mother's world, and half in Hades' domain. In the dark halls of the underworld, Persephone brought a spark of life, and for the first time, Hades' kingdom felt less empty. Their marriage became a union between worlds, each season reminding mortals that even the darkest realms have moments of light. No one defied death like Sisyphus. A mortal king with more pride than sense, he cheated Hades, not once, but twice. He chained the god of death himself, halting death across the world. But Hades' realm is one of order, and defiance cannot go unpunished. For his crime, Sisyphus was condemned to an eternity of futility. His punishment? To push a massive boulder up a steep hill. With every ounce of strength, he strained against the weight, inching toward the summit. But each time he neared the top, the boulder slipped from his grasp, rolling back down to the base. Again and again, forever. This was not cruelty for cruelty's sake. This was balance. Hades ruled over the inevitability of death, and in his kingdom, the natural laws could not be broken. Sisyphus's endless struggle became a symbol of defiance punished by futility, a reminder that no one can escape fate. Through his punishment, Hades maintained the sacred balance between life and death, showing that even a god's mercy has limits. Even Hades, the god of the dead, could not remain untouched by love. When Orpheus, the greatest musician, descended into the underworld to retrieve his beloved wife Eurydice, Hades listened. Orpheus's music was filled with such sorrow, such longing, that it moved the god of death himself. Hades, in a rare act of mercy, agreed to let Eurydice return to the world above. But there was a catch. Orpheus must not look back until they had both reached the surface. As Orpheus led Eurydice out of the underworld, he was overcome by doubt. What if Hades had tricked him? What if Eurydice wasn't really behind him? And so just before they reached the light, Orpheus looked back. In that moment, Eurydice slipped away, lost forever to the underworld. Hades' mercy was real, but the laws of his realm could not be broken. Even in love, fate had its rules. Heracles, the greatest of all Greek heroes, faced many challenges, but none were as daunting as his descent into the underworld. His task? To capture Cerberus, the fearsome three-headed hound that guarded the gates of Hades' realm. Hades, however, did not challenge Heracles. He respected strength, and Heracles had proven his worth. The god of the underworld allowed Heracles to take Cerberus, but only if the creature was unharmed and returned. Heracles, with his unmatched might, succeeded, bringing Cerberus to the world above and then back again. But Hades did not see this as defeat. It was a testament to the order he ruled. Strength and honor were respected, and the laws of the underworld remained intact. Even a hero's victory could not shatter the balance Hades upheld. Even in the underworld, love is not without its complications. Though Hades was devoted to Persephone, others sought his affection. One such nymph, Minthe, believed herself superior to Persephone. She boasted that she would capture Hades' heart, replacing the queen of the underworld. But Persephone would not allow such arrogance to stand. In a fit of jealousy, she transformed Minthe into the plant we know today, mint. The scent of mint became a bitter reminder of divine jealousy and the complex relationships that even gods could not escape. Hades, though saddened, did not intervene, honoring the bond he had chosen with Persephone, however imperfect. Though Hades rules the Greek underworld, he is not alone in mythology. In Roman lore, Hades is known as Pluto, a god not only of death, but of wealth, symbolizing the riches of the earth. The Egyptian god Osiris presides over the afterlife with a promise of resurrection and renewal, while Hel, in Norse mythology, rules a cold, grim realm of the dead. But where Osiris offers hope and Hel casts a cold finality, Hades is different. His underworld is not a place of torment, nor of rebirth. It is a land of shadows where souls rest in peace, ruled by a god who maintains the balance between life and death. Hades stands apart as the keeper of that balance, ensuring that the natural order remains unbroken. The underworld is a place of mystery and symbolism. It is not the fiery hell many imagine, but a vast and structured realm. Rivers like the Styx and the Lethe flow through it, each representing a different aspect of death. The Styx, dark and unbreakable, symbolizes the finality of death. The Lethe, shimmering with a ghostly light, offers forgetfulness to those who have passed. Souls wander its banks, but they do not suffer. The underworld is not a place of torment, but of transition. In Hades' realm, death is not the enemy, it is simply the next step in the journey. The geography of the underworld reflects this balance, a place where souls rest under the watchful eye of their silent king. In the beginning, Hades was feared, his name whispered in dread by mortals who feared the finality of death. But over time, Greek society began to understand the role Hades played. He was not a villain. He was not cruel. He was the god who maintained the balance, who ensured that death was not chaos, but order. As the centuries passed, Hades came to symbolize more than just death. He represented the inevitability of life's end, but also the dignity of that end. His legacy is one of balance, of the quiet strength required to maintain the natural cycle of existence. Hades, once feared, became a figure of respect, a reminder that death, like life, has its place in the world. Hades is not the villain of Greek mythology. He is the god who governs the most inevitable and powerful force of all, death. In his silence, there is compassion. In his rule, there is balance. Through the stories of Hades, we learn that even in the darkest realms there is order, and in death there is peace.